Hello, everybody. Um, First of all, I do have an apology ready for it being so long getting back to you guys, but I also wanted to say that based on how long my last video was, I wanted to have a sort of TLDR closer to the beginning of the video so that you guys, if you just want to know a quick update about what's going on, you don't have to wait like an hour or something until I get to the point. So that's coming, and I'll probably have some links in the description, like I did before with this sort of table of contents. And so if you're just interested in part of this and it ends up going really long, you guys can check the table of contents to get to whatever part you want to listen to. Okay, but before I get into what all's going on with me, I did want to apologize because I have not. Wow, it's been like a month and a half since I did a video, and during that time, I don't think I've hardly been able to be online very long, so or very much. And I'm sorry about that, and it turns out I do have good reason for it, but I still feel bad that I wasn't here, and I want to apologize for that. And I'll also probably be I probably won't be able to be online much until August maybe anyway, or going forward. I'll see how things go. I want to do this right. I'm doing all this. I want you guys to know what's going on with me because you care so much, and you guys are all so kind and sweet, and there's a lot of this that um it really helps that you guys care so much. So thank you for that. And I do want to I want to give you what you want to in that, and I want to keep you guys updated. Um so I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do that in the most uh helpful way, I guess. Well, anyway, so um I've got my notes too this time, so hopefully I won't get off too much. So yes, I don't want you guys to worry. Um, and so I kept thinking, oh, maybe if I made a video, but then my voice was really hoarse or I was having trouble coughing. And I, I think a lot of what you guys have said in the past has been like, oh, don't worry, don't push yourself. You take care of yourself first, and you can worry about us later. So this time, I was trying to, whenever I was feeling like or beating myself up over not being more communicative, um, I just remembered you guys saying that. So this time, I was a good girl, and I've been taking care of myself. I did leave a message on Twitter. I'm not sure how many people saw it. Oh, and then, because it's me, I think I must have dreamed that I made an update video somewhere along the line because, I can't find anything anywhere close to that. So, and I have been having trouble with the fevers and getting kind of delirious and loopy with those. So, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And they can get like freakishly real. So, um, yeah, so I think that's what happened with that one. But I did post something on Twitter. Um, Something I did write on Twitter too, though, was that um, I would um, I would say if things did get more serious than the fevers, and at the time I was not aware of things being more serious, and that's what this update is about, things getting more serious. And um, I wanted to know, in the past, like with family and stuff, I have gotten updates about my health that looking more into them, I didn't have all the information at the time, or I had seen one doctor who said something, and then a little bit later I saw another doctor who said something completely different, and the second doctor was the one who was right. So I ever that ended up going really bad, because one doctor was like, "Hey," or well, I suppose, well, it was with this whole lung thing. So I had it's an interstitial lung disease, is um, the condition that is the most life-threatening, and um, and it's a rheumatoid disease in my case, and so my rheumatologist had me see a pulmonary rheumatologist, or a pulmonologist with a specialty in rheumatology, and um, he he let's just say, I don't want to dox myself, but let's just say he had some significant credentials. So what I heard from him, I totally um, took to, or it was like, this guy's legit. This has to be right. And um, so I went on Facebook and I wrote, okay, everybody, I've been quiet for a couple of months because my rheumatologist thought I might have this horrible disease, and I didn't want anybody to think I did. And then I wrote more about what the disease is. But I just saw this pulmonologist, and he says I don't have it, so um, that's good. And everyone was really happy. And then um, a couple months later, my rheumatologist was just like, okay, I have no idea where this inflammation is coming from. We're going to have to do this test. And I think they thought I might have cancer too at the same time. And um, so they did a PET scan just to see where it was coming from, and my lungs lit up. And it's like, well, that's where the inflammation's coming from. And yes, you do have interstitial lung disease, and your life is going to totally change. And it was so hard to go back and say, oh, okay, actually, what I said a couple months ago wasn't true. So, that was, um, that I didn't, ever since then, I've been kind of cautious whenever I get big news, just to make sure that I was confident that I knew what was going on and that this couldn't change around or something like that. So, um, I I did find out this news, this not so great news that I'm about to talk about, um, not last week but the week before, and I've been running around trying to get more information and more opinions and stuff on it. So I'll get to that. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this dramatic or like a cliffhanger or anything. I really want to apologize, but also let you guys know that it's not um that I have a reason for it being a little bit later. Um, I'm looking at my notes again. Yeah, so hopefully that's it. And then for the rest of it too, I've just I have been so sick. Um, it's like appointments or fever. Pick one kind of thing. And kind of have enough adrenaline to go to appointments and tests and stuff, but then when I get home and I let my adrenaline kind of let it down. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but um, I have it hasn't been great, and I've been doing a lot of resting, and and then it was so bizarre. I'm weird, and I don't like to use my phone for things other than like um texting a couple people. Okay, well actually I hate texting, but it's better than nothing sometimes, and then like using it for an actual phone. And I don't like logging into things on my phone because I guess I don't feel totally comfortable with the phone, and I'm scared of losing it, and I don't want to be logged into other stuff and get doxxed or someone to steal my identity or whatever. But sometimes I try to see if I can watch things on, or I guess if you listen to things, if I'm in a waiting room or something, and so whatever day the Vox Adpocalypse thing came down, and on the Patriot Weekly Report, the news show, I just happened to have figured out how to listen to it on my phone, and and then I got my phone working because for some reason I have trouble streaming, and usually just watch videos or whatever. But I was like, oh, cool, I've got, that I'm gonna be in the waiting room for a while, and maybe I can like listen to the show at least. And so I did, and then I'm worried that I jinxed it or something because all this stuff started going down, and like I was literally crying in the waiting room. And I think I probably took it the worst from what I've seen afterwards. And but yeah, but I'm really worried that I'm gonna jinx it if I listen to a stream again. Um, so where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, but I was freaking out, and I was worrying about all you guys, and especially guys with channels, and so I was yeah, so and I I was worrying at the appointment, and then I got home, and then I was like running around trying to see how everyone was doing, but then I was so sick, and then I think I might have, well, I do know that I got myself too upset, and I had a harder time recovering, so or just I don't know, recovering, because I'm not really recovering, but just um yeah, it was kind of hard on my body, so I I've been having to keep my distance if I start to get really stressed about that kind of thing. So yeah, that's me being MIA. Um, I've just been resting and trying not to um, get myself too upset or stress out my body too much. Okay, so I was going to just get to the serious news right away, and I'm already almost 15 minutes in this, so I'll probably definitely need to have a timestamp or something for all you guys who thought you were gonna get the news right away. Sorry. Okay, but yeah, I think too I don't want to have to say the serious news, but well, let's just get this out of the way. I don't want to be dramatic about this, but at the same time, I'm trying my hardest not to sugarcoat it. But I probably am going to sugarcoat it just because that's me, and just like talking to family and stuff. I don't, yeah, I don't like. Okay, um, but at the same time, again, I don't want to be dramatic. So, but I want to tell the truth. Okay, just dainty, get that figured out. Okay. The serious news is that my lungs are really bad. I was doing, I thought, okay, well, usually when I get the inflammation, if I get the fevers and stuff, I get it and then it goes away, and it's a sort of passing thing. But there's been a lot of inflammation showing up in my blood work, and sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean anything's in danger, really, just that, um, well, okay, and another thing I do want to say is that, um, I, I'm not a professional, and I do probably know more about this stuff than most people, but at the same time, I'm worried that I might be misunderstanding some things and saying it wrong. So, um, this is my understanding of what's going on based on what I've heard from the doctors, and um, based on what I've seen online, and then those questions that I've asked my doctors too. So basically, so yes, so I have to see a pulmonologist. He wanted to see me every year. I wanted him to do a checkup on me more because I'm really paranoid about my lungs. But um, this was the yearly check-in, and we were all expecting it to just be, well, I get a CAT scan and a pulmonary function test, and he looks at it and he decides what, or he tells me what he thinks is going on, and based on how things went last time and also on other things going on, I just thought it was like it was going to be checking, just, okay, I did this next thing, and that there wasn't going to be any change in my lungs. So I had the CAT scan, and it came back, and it was not good. My lungs are all inflamed, and when when I get the results of a CAT scan, it's not the actual film or whatever from the CAT scan, so you don't see the pictures, but you see what I get is a report, which is the technician writing down what they see on the film, like the pictures that were taken, and um, it's like, there's a mass here that's so many centimeters by so many centimeters, a nodule, um, and then ground glass opacity, and just other things like that. Just like, I see this and this here and there. Just like writing down everything they see that isn't normal. So in the past, most of the time, it's just a, a couple lines long in the findings section of that, where they have the different things that they notice. And this time, it was this giant, I think it was more than a paragraph. It was like this giant sheet of everything wrong with my lungs, and that just freaked me out. Or yeah, that was kind of a sign that, yeah, things kind of progressed with that part of it. So oh, and then I'm looking at my notes here, sorry. So when my inhaler wasn't working, and I thought, oh, maybe I just need a different prescription, maybe this one isn't working so well. Turns out that it wasn't working because my lungs are all messed up. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking about this stuff now, or like actually a lot of it is processing it in my mind and writing or just saying it now. It's like, oh, that's not good. um, I listened before I started recording this. I listened to my last video and what I thought was going on at that time, and I was just like, oh my gosh, just so like I think I had said something about there wasn't anything dangerous going on with my organs, but they were just checking. And I brought up my inhaler and I was like, okay, wow. I had already noticed it at that point that it wasn't, or it was significant enough that I said something about it. Um, I think, yeah. So when I made my last update, things were bad then too. So, um, yeah, so it's been going on longer than I realized. I wonder if I had my CT scan a month ago, what that would have looked like. But anyway, um, yeah, so that's my big serious news that my my lungs are not doing very well and they're crazy inflamed, and um, there is a reason why I have been so sick lately, and it's because my lungs are inflamed. Okay, so um, the next part though is what this is going to look like going forward. So so my lungs are inflamed, but that doesn't mean they're always going to be inflamed. And I've been trying. It's pretty limited what I could take for anti-inflammatory kinds of things. Ibuprofen helps with the fevers, but not. It doesn't do a whole lot with my lungs, and but steroids are actually, well, I can't tolerate steroids, or at least no, I'm just gonna say I can't tolerate steroids, and um, in the past I have just, that's not an option for me, but the way things are right now, they're wanting me to go on them again or give them another shot. And so when I do my chemo, they usually have, for people, when people do these infusions, they are usually given steroids so that they're better able to tolerate the infusion. But for me, they cause more pain, and I get worried that I'm going to have a stroke or something because I've had my vitals checked when I feel all messed up like that from the steroids, and they're not really, there's nothing too worrying about it. So it just could be me being ultra sensitive, but I think the last time I took steroids was like 7 years ago, and I remember it was prednisone, and like after a week I gave my mom the bottle and I said, take this and hide it. I'm going to want to take this, but don't let me, because it does, some of the symptoms it does help, and um, it's like as I get away from the pain and the scariness and everything, I want those those memories become blurred, and it's just like I'm like Odysseus, with the sirens, being tied to the ship. Um, I know I'm gonna want this, but it's not gonna be worth it, so don't let me do it. And yeah, so I'm kind of I'm worried about that, but I figured something out with my rheumatologist, so I'm going to have a much, much, much lower dose than what they usually give people with these infusions. And I'm going to be in a lot of pain anyway uh, the the chemo, and I don't know, it just kind of feels like, kill two birds with one stone kind of thing. So I will be doing steroids for that, but I'm not going to start ahead of time because um, I think that would be too much. And also, when I get the chemo, they monitor me, so I'll know if there's a problem with if I'm. Again, I don't think I'm going to have a stroke. Knock on wood, but um, I think it's very unlikely based on what happened and people who did see me at that time. Anyway, getting away from that. And yeah, the chemo is going to be what will take down the inflammation or lessen it. And I had with the extra time I was given this round, I um, I made some plans to go to a family event later this month, and that's been something I've been really, really looking forward to. And if I and I don't want to let people down, like other family members down, by not being able to go too. So anyway, I don't think that the doctors would have wanted me to push it back anymore, and they kind of are reluctantly letting me wait until after that. And just the plan was one of the first days in July that I would start the next round of chemo. And if nothing else happens, it sounds like I'm allowed to do that. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to do with the family. I'll have to. I'm going to try my hardest, though. And again, it's one of those things where you can follow all the rules, but at the end of the day, there are some sacrifices that are worth it. And family things like this, it seems, I feel like an extra week or two isn't going to make a huge difference, but having this time with my family will. Or the scales are very much in the favor of the family event. So basically, a couple of weeks before chemo isn't going to kill me, and so I'm fighting for that. So that's my big thing that I am holding on to right now and waiting for. But again, back to the chemo and the extra time I was given. This is the update with my lungs. I am not going to be able to go this long without chemo again. This was kind of going to be an experiment, and like I said before, with they administer it every 4 to 6 months for normal people. And last year I was so serious about all of this, and I wanted to get things started. I wanted because it was after the second round that things were gonna start to make a difference. So I'm like, okay, when's the soonest I can start on this? When's the soonest I can get to 2 rounds? And so the first three rounds I had 4 months apart, and then this year then after the last one I was like, okay, well, let's see what 6 months are like. And so it's very interesting because my inhaler, I noticed it wasn't working as well about 4 months after my last round. So that makes total sense now that I think about it, and with hindsight and everything, that I started getting sicker and having more trouble with the fevers and everything after 4 months. After 4 months out of the chemo. So in the future, though, this is going to mean that I will need to take the infusion, the chemo infusion, every 4 months and be really strict about that. The way they count it kind of, well, so for every 4 months, so so my last infusion will be in the middle of July, so then 4 months after that, August, September, October, November, and then so in the middle of November I'll be ready for my next infusion. So that's kind of almost 5 months. But I was thinking that it was just killing me that, or, oh, bad idiom, sorry. But it was just like um, if it was every 4 months, that means that on any given day there's a 25% chance that I am in chemo hell, for lack of a better way of saying that. But I guess if it's kind of 5 months, so maybe it's like, oh, there's a 20% chance I'm in chemo hell. Or, well, I really hate that phrase. Maybe I shouldn't use that. But yes, so that's kind of discouraging. But then I'm thinking about it, and I have been sick pretty bad, and it's been pretty awful when I am out, or after 4 months. So like the 4 to 6 months that I've been experimenting with this time, that whole time I've been really sick already. So it's kind of like, well, can't, or I'm either going to be sick from the chemo or the disease. So it's not, I guess that my, 25 or 20% way of looking at it, probably it's not as simple as that, I guess. And, if I'd had the chemo back in April, by now I probably would be doing better anyway, recovered from the chemo. So that's not too bad, right? So anyway, that's just something I'm thinking about. Looking at my notes again, sorry. I'm doing this out of order. How I wrote my notes. But yeah, so the big thing is that I'm gonna have to have chemo more often, and after 4 months off the chemo, I am more likely to just be sick and have trouble with the inflammation. And right now I'm supposed to be resting and in a quote holding pattern until I get the chemo. So that's what the rest of June is probably going to be like for me. And hopefully in August you'll be seeing more of me. And hopefully the inflammation will be down before then. Or around that time too. I'm going to have another, I'm not sure about the CAT scan, but my pulmonologist is going to be monitoring me more often, and I'm going to have a pulmonary function test pretty soon after, I think like the first week in August. My pulmonologist wants me to have that done. The CAT scan, from what I understand, doesn't. Yes, it does show that there's some bad stuff going on, but it's the pulmonary function test that really matters, because that's kind of, or that's what they're treating, or they're treating how my lungs are working and um, how I'm living, and I guess the pragmatic side of things. So, and also, well, I'll get into this in the next part, but that the pulmonary function test is going to be what determines when I need to go on oxygen, and so a CAT scan just shows if there's inflammation or not, and then something else is that if there is damage. Your lungs don't heal from damage, or at least the interstitial part. And so, when my pulmonologist showed me the result of the CAT scan, I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck? This is not good. And one of the first questions I had was, well, how much damage is this? And he said that the inflammation was so bad that they couldn't determine that. And so that makes me want to see what the CAT scan looks like later, or after the chemo, just because I want to know how much damage is there. But then the more I think about it, there's not really anything you can do about it anyway. And pulmonary function, that determines more how day to day and the practical side of things, and how I'm able to breathe, and what, my coughing, and just, I guess, pulmonary function, like what it says. Oh, and I don't know. So if you guys aren't sure what pulmonary function tests are like, I've had some pretty intense ones that that I hate with a passion. But for the most part, the ones that I've been having at this pulmonologist aren't too bad. It's like there's like a machine that you breathe into, and it's really weird. Like you basically, I think what it does is it tries to see how much oxygen your lungs can hold, and then how much you can push out, kind of thing. It measure. I'm sorry, I'm totally botching this, but they have you breathe in different ways into this like pipe machine thing, and it measures how your lungs are doing, and then for me, like this last time and the time before that, I had a pretty bad coughing fit because of all. I'm not going to try to do the breathing right now because I don't want it to get. I don't want a coughing fit, but so it sounds like that part was significant, and I didn't realize that before. But they, put the little oxygen thing on my finger, and they had me do some stuff. I think I almost actually passed out because I was like so. Um, oh no, I did pass out. Um, that was last year. Um, I was like, okay, because I'm such a perfectionist. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I've gotta try, because it's really hard a lot of times to like, you have to blow in and you have to blow out as fast as you can, and you're like in this box, and I remember slumping over. I was in a chair, but I remember slumping over to the side, and then the lady freaking out. Um, so, sorry. Yeah, I don't know how often that happens, but I did that last time. Um, but that didn't happen this time, and then I had the coughing fit after the first test, and then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna totally wimp out and not try as hard for the rest of it. And I think she knew what was going on, and they're able to kind of adjust things based on that. But yeah, even with all of that, they didn't think I needed oxygen then. Um, so, okay, I think that might, what, for what this means going forward, I think I covered everything. Okay, um, I did have, I'm not sure if I should go into this. I mean, I wrote down possible reasons why this is happening, and why it's different this time rather than how it was a couple years ago, or I don't know. Um, I guess, well, for me, when I saw this was happening to my lungs, I was just like, okay, I've been doing the chemo. You would think that they wouldn't get this bad, especially since it's not. It was pretty dramatic what happened before I went on chemo. With this last time I've been on chemo before, but this last one I think I started in February, but things started going down in December, that were not good, that led up to me going on chemo for this new kind of chemo for this past however long it's been. Um, but even then, they did the CAT scan, and my lungs weren't this bad. Um, I was just having trouble with the coughing fit probably the most. It was inflamed, or my lungs were inflamed, but it wasn't this crazy thing. So it could just be the progression of the disease, and I'm just overanalyzing it. Then like I said before, the waiting 6 months instead of 4 months in between, is probably has a big impact on this. And I'm not sure if I want to get into this now, but I said, because it's already really long and I'm getting tired, but the pulmonologist, last year when I saw him for my checkup, I was not happy with how he handled things, and even now, I'm still pretty sure that I'm gonna get a new pulmonologist. He was really nice this time, and I did kind of like I think he's going to take me more seriously now because, like I said, I wanted him to check up with me more often last year when I saw him. And he kind of blew me off, and he tried to send me to other specialists. And yeah, I think I'll get into that some other time maybe. Then something else is that I had iron infusions earlier this year for my anemia, and this is the first time I've tried doing that. There are some things in my life that were kind of getting in the way of that, and I had some time freed up, and so I was able to do them, and it it worked in that my my red blood cell count, my hemoglobin, and my ferritin. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with all that stuff. The ferritin, it does a couple things, but it has the it stores the iron, from what I understand. So anyway, so my red blood cells and my hemoglobin and my ferritin, I think those were the main things they were wanting to raise, and those were like way too low. And then I got the iron, and then it kind of does a big jump with all of those things, and that's normal. But there was some stuff with basically there's a disease that and I'm actually wondering if one of the reasons why in the past I didn't do the infusion was because I have this disease that runs in my family. But like my grandpa and my uncle would have to have blood drained, or well, my uncle's still alive, but like every so often they would have to have blood drained because their body produced too much iron, I think, and red blood cells. And so, or there were a ton, the whole iron infusion thing, there were a ton, like, again, I'm really tired and this is really long already, so I don't know if I'll be able to get into that, but there were a lot of things that went wrong with it, and one of them was, when I was like, oh, this, I was looking at my blood work and I'm like, oh wow, this reminds me of my, my grandpa, my uncle. And my doctor's like, wait, what? And then I was explaining that disease, and they're like, why didn't you tell me that you had this before? And I was just like, I thought, or didn't realize it was that significant or rare, and yeah, so that was a whole thing. And then I think she talked to this is just a primary care doctor, and I think it talked to some people, and they're like, no, this is probably just the infusion, or just chill. But she kind of freaked me out because I was like, great, I get another thing to add to my list. But luckily, so far, again, knock on wood, hopefully I don't have that. Hopefully that's not a thing. And things did go down, and I'm pretty, my iron and hemoglobin are not happy right now, but I don't want to do another infusion. Because one of the things that happened was that my ferritin was raised too, which was what the iron stores were. And ferritin also has something to do with inflammation in your body. So my ferritin hasn't, well, okay, it was insanely high and it did go down. It was hilarious looking at a graph of my past results, just like it, I think, whatever the units were, it went from like being like averaging around 10 units to right after the infusion, it was up to 1,000 units, and um, um, and it was like, whoa, and then a couple months later, it had gone down, but it was still high, and they said, oh, that's still probably the infusion. But now, I'm not so sure because that's also a sign of inflammation. So, one of the doctors that I saw trying to figure out, in recently why I'm so sick, he saw the ferritin and how high it was, and he's like, oh, okay, that's probably not really good for the inflammation part. And so just the fact that the ferritin is staying high while the hemoglobin and um, iron and red blood cells, etc., are going back down to anemic levels. Yay! Um, I'm destined to be anemic forever, I think. Um, yeah, so that the ferritin from the um, iron infusions earlier this year are probably part of that. So that, yeah, that's the whole thing. Sorry, you guys. I'm fading and I'm feeling a little. I hope I'm not too hoarse. My voice. So anyway, yeah. So those are the two reasons why. Um, um, or three. I don't know where I'm at right now. Those are the reasons why it could be that it's this bad right now. Okay, and then for me, and then again, I don't want to be dramatic, but I also don't want to sugarcoat it. It's been pretty rough for me emotionally. I am glad that I have some solid proof of what's going on and that I'm not being a wimp and that there's a reason why I've been so sick the past couple of months. I don't like, well, okay, so I've been, joking about it that, well, we've been playing, my rheumatologist and I have been playing Find the Inflammation, and we won. Or we found it. And it's in my lungs. So I kind of, I've had like a gazillion tests, so, having one that proves that something's going on, there is something satisfying about that. But then it's like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't great. This isn't good news. Well, I mean, I guess now that they know what it is, they can work to treat it, but still, just knowing that it can't, that the damage won't be healed, and also knowing this is just gonna keep following me is hard. And then, I'm not sure. I I'm not sure if it's genetic. I Yeah, I'm not sure if it's genetic, but I have a lot of cousins on that side of the family who have had lung issues, and I didn't have them until I was older. Um, and I, like, honestly, their stuff was so bad that I felt like I had lucked out. And then I ended up getting a really, they were the ones that lucked out, I guess, because they didn't get this one. My grandpa, I basically watched him deteriorate and die when he died when I was 9. He died from emphysema, and his parents, and he was young, in his 60s, and his parents died about the same age too, from lung disease. And I've seen their, doing genealogy, and I've seen their death certificates, and it's not good. um, so that's always there in the back of my mind. And for some reason, there's a lot of things that I'm okay with medically that I'm just like fascinated with, and I don't have trouble thinking about it, but lungs are one of those things that just freak me out to hear about them, or to even see pictures about what lungs look like if like they put a scope down there or something. And like even talking about it now, I had I'm like consciously very much aware of breathing, and it's kind of like I've turned on, auto, or not auto, I can't think of it right now, but just our manual. I've turned on manual breathing because I'm thinking about it. So if I stop thinking about it, or if I, or I'm very, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm getting really tired at the end here. So yeah. So everything with my lungs just is extra scary because lungs are so vital, I guess. Like, if your kidney stops working or something, you've got time to figure out what's going on and get to the hospital and everything. But if your lungs stop working, it's more immediate, I guess. And I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't want to scare anyone or anything like that. It's just something, it's a rabbit trail that I try not to go down. I've, a couple times I've looked into what life is like for people with more advanced cases of this, and I can't do it. And it's too hard. And I kind of, it wasn't this exactly, it wasn't interstitial, but it was, I was listening to something over the weekend, I think, and somebody had like a story about some medical thing that happened with them that ended up being a lung thing, and they were going into detail about some of the medical stuff, and I just started crying, and it was terrifying. And I'm I'm I to be totally honest, I'm scared about what it's going to be like going forward and what the next stages are. I was brave enough to ask some more questions that I hadn't asked in the past. So, like, I asked what would determine when I would need a full-time oxygen tank and that kind of thing. And that, I think I said earlier, but that's determined by my pulmonary function test. And and then that is, quote, fine, according to my pulmonologist, but I don't, again, I'm having trouble figuring out how serious things are from what he's saying, and I'm not sure how close I am to needing an oxygen tank. So yeah, so that's something, but that does help. I mean, I'm glad that I know that now, because I'm not just waiting for something to happen and then the oxygen tank is thrown at me. Um, the oh, and then this picture. When I was just thinking about everything, and then I'm thinking about telling you guys and putting everything in my head, and I was going through, in my mind, just, going through my mental library of pre-Raphaelite pictures, and I was feeling very scared, and so and then this one, this is probably one of the most famous pre-Raphaelite paintings. You've seen her before. She might have looked a little different, but it's Lady of Shalott. And just this picture of her, she looks real scared, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with the poem, but she's at a spot, or just the place where it is in the poem. Um, so just kind of, going through my mental library of pre-Raphaelite pictures or paintings, and this one popped out, and none of the other ones seemed to, or this one was like, yep, this one fits. And side note, my my nephew, is very sweet and thinks that, because we've got a painting of this in our house, and he thinks it's me. um, or at least he did like a year ago. He's a little bit older now, so I don't know if he saw it again, if you would say that. I think the frizzy red hair, maybe. So anyway, yeah, I'm kind of feeling, I, yeah, kind of scared, and there's a path ahead that I'm gonna have to deal with. Um, but okay, but I don't want to get this like all dramatic or down or depressing. Um, this it's still the really early stages. I don't need an oxygen tank. The chemo was working before, so it should work again. And then who knows, maybe the steroids will actually help this time. Um, and and there's every hope that after I get started on the chemo and I do it more regularly, that this won't happen again, or it won't get this bad if I'm on top of it. So this could just be a lesson, and um, in the future, when I go ahead and I get my chemo every 4 months, and I think, oh, I wish I could go longer and not take this chemo now, or not have to deal with all this, I'll just remember, okay, well, just how scary is it going to be when your inhaler isn't working, and you're getting crazy fevers all the time. And then, it's just a month of a lot of pain and tiredness, but then you'll be able to do stuff afterwards that you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't get the chemo right now. And the sooner you take it, the sooner you're done. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep fighting, obviously. I'm not down, well, I'm down but not out. And I am resting with a purpose now. I'm not, or I know what's going on. And I'm doing the best I can do. And yeah, so wish there was something happier I could leave this with. I don't know. Maybe that is a happier way to look at it. But I'm really tired now, and I'm having some trouble with my voice, so I'm not sure if I sound horrible. And yeah, I've gone over an hour because of course I did. So yeah, maybe I'll just leave it there. But please don't freak out, because then I'll feel bad. So just um this is what's going on. I'm gonna keep fighting. I might be quiet, but I'm still gonna be fighting, and I'm still gonna come back and fight with more energy, even if it's not like a normal person's energy. I'm gonna give them my energy, and so yeah, not giving up, not going anywhere, and I'll keep you guys updated on how things are going. But if you don't, if there is something like really serious that does happen, I definitely will at least put something on Twitter if I can't make a video or something, because you guys want to know, and I won't purposely keep anything from you guys about this stuff. And I'm trying my best not to sugarcoat things. So, yeah, I guess that's what's going on right now. And I should probably just shut up before I ramble for another hour about other things. So, I guess I'll talk to you guys and see you later. I'm not sure how much time I'll be online before July. If I have a good day or something, I might try to see if I can come online and do something. But it's crazy just having to be still in bed, and just the fact that typing can, or I mean, just having my hands or my arms extended and typing actually takes energy out of me, and can make me feel feverish sometimes. Is bizarre, and I don't totally understand it, but yes, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm doing my best to take care of myself. So that's what's going on. And I am so sorry that this went so long. And I really hope that you're not listening to this at normal speed. And oh man, sorry you guys. I will definitely put a table of contents in here or something like that to make it easier for you guys to listen to this. So yeah, this is the director's cut and table of contents. You can listen to whatever parts you want to. So okay, I'm sorry. I love you guys, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to be here for a little while still, and that I haven't been here. But I am totally with you guys in spirit, and I'm still here. I'm praying for you guys. I'm trying to stay updated as much as possible, and I hope all is well with you guys too. So you guys keep fighting and make me proud, okay? I love you guys. Bye.